Hello, Maria. Welcome to this weekly meeting episode that we have.
Hi,
It's
Alex.
objection handling. And let me tell you that the idea of this topic today was sparked from me because I have tomorrow, there is a platform where I deliver advice and master classes. It's called Sales Hookup. And I have a practice on objection handling
Oh,
on the same topic. So I took advantage of the opportunity to talk with you also.
so I'm going to be the practice guinea pig.
No, 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 no.
No.
Today it's not going to be any practice. I don't have but tomorrow I will put the attendance on a test. So
Okay.
they will have to handle objections with me.
Oh,
So
so
it's a very, I don't know. I think it was always for me when I started in sales, objections was the toughest part,
I think for
how you
everybody
will
now.
respond, how. But through the years, I made some conclusions, and those are the ones that I want to share with you today. I don't
Please
know
do.
what are your thoughts
Yeah.
about the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's a great topic because, well, obviously, when you're trying to sell your services, you tend to get the same objections come up, and then you also tend to get objections that are not the real objections. So people will say
Yes,
something, but in reality, what they mean is something else, or they're embarrassed to admit what they. So it's also so there's a lot of I think psychology behind objection handling. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
yes. Okay, so you hit the nail on the head on what you said about the real objections and the other ones that pretend to be objections but are not. So the first thing that somebody needs to be aware of is which ones are the real objections. Okay, and what means real objections? Um, the ones that pretend to be objections have a different motive from inside.
Yeah.
So there is a different motive. So objections that don't make sense most of the times are excuses not to go your way or not to buy your product. Or, I mean, we don't need to see sales strictly on the, let's say, on the B2B level, but also between interpersonal relationships
Yeah.
between people. So I had a friend, and she was telling me the story that, it was a female friend that I have, and she was saying a story about somebody that wanted to date her or whatever, and she this guy was smoking, and she told him, well, I don't smoke and I don't date smokers. So this guy came after 2 months
I
back to
quit.
her,
I quit.
and he said, I quit smoking.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
I like this example because it's a very accurate example of a false
Yeah.
um, objection,
Yeah. But I
right?
think, yeah. People come up with these kinds of objections for lots of reasons. They come up because they don't want to hurt people's feelings, or because they're not confrontational, or
Yes,
because they're afraid of the reaction of the other person. So that's why people often do that, right?
yes. So that happens in business. That happens also in life.
Yeah.
So you need to be in the position to realize what is an objection.
Hmm.
So if it's a false objection, then I would address that directly. And when you are a salesperson, okay, you want to sell. But I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned in sales and that applies in life too, you should always be also prepared to lose a deal or to not close a
Walk
deal
away.
because yes, that is essential. If you are not willing to say no, you have nothing to negotiate.
Mm.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that a moment. So you go selling, it's a negotiation to sell your product under certain conditions, right? Price and way to sell it and different other conditions. If you are not willing to deny selling the product or saying no,
Well, to have a walk away point, a point under which you're not going to go, your price, you're not going to negotiate anymore, right?
Yes. So I used to have a client once. So, I was selling calling cards many years ago. So I had a certain price that I wanted to give to the clients, right? I mean, I made a discount. Obviously, if somebody bought more, I made him a better offer till a certain point. So this guy came. I remember that like it was yesterday because we became very good friends afterwards with him. So he was my client, but he was also a very good friend of mine. So the day that I wanted to sell him my products, so he came, he took out from his pocket, I don't know how much money, a lot of money, like 5,000 euros and I say, here is the money, but listen, instead of X amount of cars, I want X amount, 10% more. And I mean, theoretical, you can say, okay, I draw my red line and I will go. But I'm telling you, it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, especially
Because
if
you see it there. It's
yeah.
in front of you. All you
Yeah,
have to do is say,
especially when
okay.
you're starting, yeah. When you're starting a business and you're like a bit desperate to get anything, right?
You get desperate. And I mean, it's very tempting.
Huh.
And I said, listen, no, it's not possible. And I turned away to go away. And he says, no, come back. Come on. I will buy you. It was just for me to test
Testing you. Yeah. Yeah.
you. So you need to be in the position to say no. So if you sense the other person is telling you something that it doesn't make any sense in the context of him, in the context who he is, what he says, then address this directly. I can feel that you are not ready to
Mm-hmm.
proceed in buying that product, or you need to address, because that's a false, you are never going to overcome that, let's say, objection, because it's not an objection. He doesn't want, period.
It's about understanding what the motivation. So it's about listening to the person and then asking questions. I was thinking of a story also of somebody I knew who, I think it's about knowing your value also. And there was this person who, very effective businessman, and he would say people would often argue about price, and that was something he was like, listen, do you want the cheapest or do you want the best? If you want the best, it's me. If you want the cheapest, he'd put out the business card of his competitor. He said, go to this guy. And I promise you, people would be so shocked. They would be like, no, we want to work with you. And it worked. The guy was so sure of himself. He knew his value. He knew what he could offer. He wouldn't be afraid to say, listen, yeah, of course, there's lots of people that are going to do it cheaper than you. If it's about pricing, this is my price. There's no negotiation because this is what the value you're getting for it.
Of course.
And I think there's a bit of that is also having that confidence in the value you're offering and being able to articulate it in a way that the person understands it. Because often when people get stuck on the objection, which is often pricing, it's not so much the actual price, because they might go and spend this money on something else that they perceive more valuable than your actual service. It's the perceived value of what you're offering. So it's managing to articulate clearly the value you're bringing is going to help you on that kind of objection.
Yes, so that is very interesting what you say, specifically what regards pricing. And here I have to make two comments. So first of all, as I said before, you need to see with whom you are speaking and in which context you are speaking. So I had a gentleman, like it was a couple of months ago, from Asia. So I sent him my offer, he replied back, and he wanted some very small discount. And my question was, I mean, you're going to pay so much money. That is really the obstacle now, that's this small payment that you need to do.
Was it cultural?
He never, it can be. He never replied to me back. So I lost him. But I mean,
maybe
was it
just a test to see if, like to see a bit of a goodwill or something? I don't know.
I mean, is that really the problem? So when I negotiate about services, as normally I don't negotiate about the price
Yeah.
on the service,
Yeah.
because I want the other person to be happy on the service that he delivers.
Mm.
If I possibly could negotiate uh, the price on services, uh, I would. I don't do that, because the other person needs to be happy. Maybe I could get a better price,
Mm.
but for what price I'm going to get a better monetary price?
Yeah. What is the right price? Right.
There
Yeah,
is
I
no
think
right
often when
price.
people are like, "Well, that seems expensive," and you say, "Well, compared to what? You know, what are you comparing the things to?" So I think it's about understanding. That's why it's about. I think it's really important if you're talking, if you're negotiating about prices, and you're trying to handle objections around anything in general, but prices particularly. It's good to do it in a conversation rather than an email, because then you can go back and
Yes,
forth. You can ask questions. You can try and uncover what really is going on. When you do it in writing, it's sort of, it's one, if the person like this guy didn't answer you, maybe all he wanted was, listen, I maybe it was cultural, maybe it's something you do in Asia, in his part of the world, and it's a gesture of goodwill to show that you want to work with him, but you don't know that because you haven't had that conversation. And that's
but
why.
I cannot always think about.
No,
I mean,
no,
I
no,
have
I
also.
know, but I'm just saying, like, we make our own assumptions about what's going on in
Yes,
other people's lives, and we don't know why. Maybe he has a very good reason to ask you this, but you couldn't find out because you were doing this over email and you didn't get to have the conversation, right?
exactly. Conversation is crucial and
Yeah,
it's critical.
yeah,
Now, because on the exchange of the emails, in some point, so you go on a path
yeah,
that's a path of no return.
yeah,
Because then, I mean, what's going to be if you, let's say, you negotiate a price and the other person says that much, and you say no, this much, and then the other person says that much, and then you say, okay, my final offer is this.
mm. Yeah, and things get
Then,
lost in translation in email
then
also.
you're gonna go to a no.
Yeah,
You will end to a no just because of your you set up the no.
yeah,
But I want to say something also that is very important, specifically on the pricing, uh, on the objection on pricing. I like objections on pricing because objections on pricing give you one unique opportunity that many times other objections don't give you. So the objection on price allows you to say this. Okay, so pricing is the problem in that specific case.
mhm,
If I take that outside of
yeah,
the equation, let's don't talk about pricing now.
yeah,
Let's talk about all the other things, the quality, the
yeah,
quantity, the whatever are the characteristics of the product that you are selling. If I'm talking about them, you are fine with them, forget the price for the moment. Only I understand that only the pricing is your problem. All the other factors, they are okay with you. Yes, yes, everything else is okay. Okay, now let's talk about the pricing. So you isolated that,
yeah,
and now you're gonna come and you're gonna try to solve that specific objection.
mm,
So you narrow down the problem.
yeah,
Another thing that I want to say about objections. So you have the false objections, which are the excuse to get out because I don't want to buy.
yeah.
Uh, Let me think about that, and I will let you know in
I
some
need to
weeks.
speak to my wife.
Yeah, yes, the wife thing is the wife thing is the other thing.
Is it?
I, I will tell you about that, but let me first say this what I want, because then I will forget. I'm getting older, and my mind.
Yeah, go.
Okay. You see now. Yes. Okay. So the thing is, you have to deal with real objections, right? That's good. That's because then it means there is true interest from the other side about your product, because the other side asks questions that make sense. So if you can give a solution, then you will have him as a client.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. People see objections as, no, it's the obstacle. No, true objections is good stuff. Now, you cannot overcome true objections with BS.
Yeah.
That's very, especially for rookies. So they hire these young salespeople. Oh, you need to convince it, but the problem is not them. The problem is that the person that hires them gives answers to objections that are BS. And that doesn't work because the other person is not so stupid. He knows.
Yeah.
So you need to have confident answers and understand that in life, nothing is 100%. There is always a compromise.
Yeah.
On something that you negotiate, that you buy. You cannot have everything. So on the wife thing.
Let's go back to the wife.
Now becomes more interesting. So I was selling time sharing back many years ago. So time sharing, you know what it is.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
An apartment.
Yeah, I got hooked by somebody on the street to go and visit a timeshare, and I think we went on our first vacation with my husband in the Canaries.
Okay.
They were offering, I can't remember, they were offering a free drink or something. They were like, yep, let's go for a free drink.
So you know how it is.
I remember. Yeah, we had no intention of buying whatsoever. We didn't even have money. So we were like, yeah, we'll just go and look at the nice building, and that was it.
but yes, it's well, time sharing is kind of a questionable model, let's say. Many say it's scam. I wouldn't go that far to say that's a scam, but it's a model that needs attention if you want to do that. So that's my honest opinion as a former salesperson of time sharing. But what you learn there, I had the best sales manager. I mean, not many sales managers that I had were good. So I think you know that so far. But this guy was the best that I ever had. He was a Scotsman in Greece. He was making the training. So when a couple was coming, so the husband and the wife were coming, and they were sitting, we were always sitting on the round table.
Yeah.
Why was that the round table? That's very important.
Tell me.
Because if it was a male salesperson, I was sitting next to the guy. So we became the friends. If it was a female sales agent, she was sitting next to the wife. And I can tell you this in that sales scenario that was for doing the time sharing sale. You had to convince the wife, not the man. The guy was always there, yes. And if he had a little bit of money, he was bragging, and I will take that, and the most expensive. And the wife was there sitting and saying nothing. And when the end of the presentation came, and the senior consultant came, and he made the super discount, but you need to sign it now. We want your credit card number. Come on.
Now, because we'll give you an extra 20%.
Exactly. When the papers came to sign for the credit card, when that time came, the wife was the one that said no. She didn't spoke the whole presentation. And everybody was focusing on the guy. The guy was sold, but not the wife. So they say in German, like the waters that are still are very deep. And I think that applies in that.
And so what was the objection of the wife usually? Like, how did you handle that objection?
Yes, that is not so much related to objections, but it's more related to understanding the dynamics.
Yeah. Who's the real decision maker?
Who is the real who is the real decision maker? And if she doesn't like you, you will not sell it. So maybe you have done something that she didn't like,
Hmm.
and therefore you will not sell regardless how many answers and objections you're going to give,
Yeah.
because it's more complex. Human communication is more complex.
Yeah.
So the whole objections in sales, it's a lesson for everybody. That's why also I want that my kids go in sales,
Mm.
regardless of what they're going to do afterwards, to learn human communication and understand
Yeah.
human relations.
Because it's really about, I think it's really about listening first to what the person is saying. It's about empathizing with maybe whatever concerns or the way they feel about the things. And then it's about clarifying what the objection is. Is it, what is it that, as we said, try and uncover the real objection, to say, okay, so if I understand this is what's, holding you back, and then be able then to flip it by saying, well, this is what we could do to get over this hurdle, right?
There are many scenarios that can happen. And I mean, there is always an excuse not to sell something. But I think, as a mature salesperson now that I am, after so many years, and not as a 20-year.
Experience maybe is better than mature, no?
So, first of all, I hate excuses in general. But you need also to realize that there is, when you have a product to sell, not everybody is going to buy your product.
No, not everybody wants it.
Exactly. For various, that is realist. That is reality.
Mm.
Now, what happens in most companies, or most, so there's the manager there's the rookie that has always the excuses,
Yeah.
and there's the manager that has always the answers. You should have done this and this and that, and for him, everything it's wrong what the rookie says.
Mm.
The reality is none of them. The reality is that, yes, the rookie finds the excuses, but the other guy also needs to understand the reality of the situation. Now, if you speak to a person seriously and you listen what he says and you respect him, you will be in the position to influence him more, and he will become better because he knows that your response is not an automated response that comes from somebody's mouth because you just have this position.
Mm.
So if you treat people maturely and you listen to them, they will become mature persons. If you treat them as children, they're going to always remain children. People become the way you treat them.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense?
Yeah.
Somehow, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. I think it goes back to communication once again, I think.
It goes back to communication. So I would say, if you want to test your objection handling skills under pressure, go tomorrow at the Sales Hookup website. You will find me, and let's have a go.
A little advertising.
Little advertising, yes.
You know where to find me.
You know where to find me.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So thank you, Maria, for this meeting,
Thank
and
you.
we will talk again in 2 weeks.